Hi, this is Pastor Randy. The question that I want to deal with today is, why do people raise their hands during a worship service? That's a good question. Sometimes people feel a little uncomfortable when others raise their hands. So today, what I'd like to do is talk about why people raise their hands. Let me read a couple of verses to you. First of all, Psalm 28, verse 2. Hear the voice of my supplication when I cry to you, and when I lift up my hands towards your holy sanctuary. Or how about Psalm 134? Lift up your hands in the sanctuary and bless the Lord. Psalm 143:6, it says, I spread out my hands to you, my soul longs for you like a thirsty land. Selah. Think about it. Contemplate that. That's what I want to address right now. Why do people raise their hands during worship? It's not a command. Nowhere in the Bible are we commanded to raise our hands. Actually, when it appears in the Bible, it's more of an idiom for the posture of the heart. It speaks of where someone's heart is. You see, when I raise my hands, I don't always do it. Sometimes my hands are down. Sometimes my hands are, in the air. I'm kind of a weird worship person. I kind of move around a lot. But when I raise my hands, the reason I do it is threefold. It's the universal sign of surrender. Lord, I surrender. I don't want to fight. I give in to your will, not my will. And we should surrender our lives to the Lord. That is so important. But secondly, I think of a child. A child often comes to his mom or dad and wants to be held, especially if we fall down. We want to be picked up. Sometimes my heart is hurting and I just need to be lifted up into the arms of the Lord. And so I'm coming to God like a child and saying, Lord, lift me up, hold me, take my hands. I need your help. Thirdly, sometimes I have to come and say, God, I'm just letting go of this world. I'm coming to God and I'm showing him my hands are empty. Lord, what do you want me to do for your glory? And so I think it's threefold. It's a surrender. It's sometimes we're hurting and needing to be lifted up. And sometimes it's saying, Lord, I'm ready to do whatever you want me to do. Now, I want you to understand, it's not something that we should force either. It should be something that flows out of a joyful heart. I think of Solomon in 1 Kings 8:22, when he's dedicating the temple. And it says this, then Solomon stood before the altar of the Lord in the presence of all the assembly of Israel, spread out his hands towards heaven. He was grateful. He was thankful. He was blessed to have been able to be used by God to do such a monumentous thing for God's glory. And so he was grateful. There was a heart of gratefulness. If we do lift up our hands, if we do it with the right heart, then it's not putting on a show. It's not to impress anyone. It's that you're truly seeking the Lord. You're truly, and it becomes a posture of our heart, really. You can actually lift up hands in prayer. I mean, the Bible is full of hands being raised to him. In 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 8, it speaks, I desire, therefore, that men pray everywhere, lifting up holy hands without wrath and doubting. We can lift our hands in prayer. We can go prostrate before the Lord in worship or in prayer. We can go face down on the ground before the Lord in prayer. But it shouldn't be an act. As long as it's not an act, as long as it is pleasing before the Lord, because, unfortunately, there is a type of worship that is vanity. It's a type of worship that is not pleasing to the Lord. How about Isaiah chapter 1, verse 15 and 16? When you spread out your hands, I will hide my eyes from you. Even though you make many prayers, I will not hear you. Your hands are full of blood. Wash yourselves, make yourself clean. Put away the evil of your doing before my eyes cease to do evil. We could come before the Lord and we could raise our hands, but if our hearts aren't truly surrendered, if our hearts aren't truly broken, where we're just needing the Lord to lift us up, if we're not coming to him and saying, Lord, I'm giving up the world, I'm letting loose of the world, and I want to take hold of whatever you have for me, then it's in vain, and God is not pleased with that. But if you come to a worship service and you want to raise your hand and your heart moves you to do that, by all means do that. If you want to go prostrate before the Lord, if you want to kneel, whatever it is that the Lord puts on your heart, as long as it's done in spirit and in truth. For God's people will worship him in spirit and in truth. So that's the thought I want you to hang on your belt today. Hang this on your belt. Worship the Lord in spirit and in truth. And if you feel like raising your hands in surrender, if you feel hurt and you need to be lifted up by the Lord, or if you're ready to give up the world and take whatever he wants to give you, then by all means, lift your hands. God bless you. And by the way, February 20th, that's Wednesday night at 6 o'clock, we are having a night of worship. And what a great opportunity for you to come and just worship the Lord. And if you feel like the Lord is moving you to surrender your heart, if you feel like you needed to be lifted up and just to praise his name, or you're waiting to see what the Lord wants you to do, what a great time to come and just worship him. The Bible tells us that the Lord inhabits the praises of his people. So let's come together and praise the Lord. February 20th, Wednesday, February 20th at 6 o'clock here at HBC. God bless you.